Welcome, everybody, and Merry Christmas. Welcome to another edition of the Mario, Chaos, and the Kid Show. Today is December 18th, 2018. I'm your co-host, Mario Mancini. I'm a former WWE wrestler and co-instructor at Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling, along with Pretty Paul Roma, Big Steve Tracy, and the man behind the glass and the producer of this show is also a co-owner and instructor, and his name is Paul Perez. Seated to the jolly right of me is a 2019 inductee into the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. He has done everything from Christmas ornaments to mistletoe to knocking down the Christmas tree. He is the guardian of chaos, and his name is Big Daddy. Big Daddy, what's going on?
Hit it! I said a M-A-S, a T-E-R, a G with a double E. I said I go by the unforgettable name of the man they call the Master G. Well, my name is known all over the world. All the foxy ladies and pretty girls are going down in history as the baddest brother there ever could be.
Big Daddy, that's not a Christmas carol.
Have you ever went over a friend's house to eat and the food just ain't no good? I mean, the macaroni soggy, the peas don't moist, and the chicken tastes like wood. So you say, that's it, I gotta leave this place. I don't care what these people think. I'm just sitting here making myself nauseous with this ugly food that stinks.
Are you gonna get to the super sperm?
Mancini, coming to you live from the Diadamo and Tracy Bail Bond studio here at the Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling Training Facility. And seated to the left of me is a man who went to the doctor for a checkup. And the doc said, "Kid, you need to stop masturbating." And the kid said, "Why?" And the doc said, "Because I'm trying to examine you." And that is the Kid. Welcome aboard to the Mario and Chaos featuring the Kid podcast. How you doing, Matt?
What's going on, Big Daddy? I like that opening.
Wait, when did you go to the doctors, Kid?
I haven't been in the doctors in a while.
Well, you know what they say when it comes... Let me see your... Mancini, let's look at his palms. Are they hairy? Does he have hairy palms at 19 years old?
I don't know, Big Daddy. I hope not, because he's got a long drive after this, and he might slip off the steering wheel.
That is true. Kid, tell the fans here. Listen, we're on Stitcher, we're on Spreaker, we're on B+ Player. We owe a big gratitude to Mark Adam Haggerty, Bodyslam.net. But, Kid, tell the fans what is going on once you leave the training facility tonight.
As soon as we're done with the podcast tonight, I'm headed straight to Florida. Straight through, no
It's
stops.
not spring break.
It's winter break.
And now, let me ask you a question, Kid. Who would you be traveling down south with?
The producer of the Open Table Sports podcast, LJ.
So would that be the jabronis that you do that show with from UB? University of Burgers? Who is the kid Angelo?
Angelo? He doesn't go to the University of Bridgeport.
So let me get this straight. His name isn't Angelo.
No, it's not Angelo Mancini.
It's Angelo.
So let me ask you this. Are you going to Orlando?
We're going to Palm Coast, but we're stopping in Orlando. We're going to Spurs and Magic tomorrow night.
What's that?
NBA.
Oh.
That sounded like a porn movie.
I thought he said Spurs of Magic, and I'm like, what's that?
I thought he said sperm and laces.
Well, yeah, Big Daddy. So,
I'm just telling you, I don't know.
So, Big Daddy, all your Christmas shopping done?
As a matter of fact, Mancini, no.
Neither's mine.
I have not done anything yet.
I've done very little.
Well, Mancini, that is the story
so
of your life.
It's 4th and 20.
4th and 20. Oh, let's not get crazy. 4th and 20 would be Christmas Eve.
Well, all right.
Right now, we're probably on 3rd and 12.
I listened to Michael Bolton's White Christmas on the way over here.
Oh, we're back on talking about Michael Bolton. I just got finished opening show with a rap. Well,
you know what?
I
fed Perez this week on Facebook, and he wouldn't bite. He didn't bite, man.
Well, tell us what you did.
I posted Michael Bolton's White Christmas, and he didn't bite. I was laughing about it because I'm going to see if I can bait Perez, and it didn't work.
You gotta love Michael Bolton. Listen, he may try to throw his music out the window again.
Wow.
Well, you know what happens in Buffalo, Mancini.
Well, you know. If you know what Tony,
You're a legend.
You know what Tony Altomare used to say? If it wasn't for Niagara Falls, Buffalo would be a desert. That's what he used to say.
Well, speaking of Buffalo, Mancini.
Yeah.
What would a buffalo, in theory now, just in theory, because I know you're very famous in Buffalo. Very famous. What would a buffalo, in theory, say to his son as he dropped him off for the first day of school? Think about it.
Don't be bullish?
No.
What?
But that's close, Mancini. You're always pretty good at this. A buffalo would say, in theory, if he dropped his son off for the first day of school, bye, son. Well, Mancini, look, the kid's even laughing on that.
Well, he got that one.
Well, listen, fans, thanks for tuning in to Mario Chaos featuring the Kid podcast.
Are we going to the WWE report now?
No, Mancini, fuck the WWE.
Hey!
I didn't say fuck Vince McMahon. I said fuck the WWE. I mean the product. I don't mean the McMahons.
The McMahons are the product.
No, you're wrong. They are not the product. The fans and the workers are the product. They have all kinds of writers from General Hospital and Housewives of New Jersey. There's no real wrestlers like Gorilla Monsoon, Arnold Skolin, all Dusty Rhodes, everybody that were bookers back in the day, Black Jack Lanza. Now, those are bookers.
Those are storytellers.
Those are storytellers. You give it to somebody who writes for movies, Mancini, or soap operas, you get the current product.
It's shit.
Okay, so could I say fuck the WWE?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, fuck the WWE.
Vince is rolling over in his grave, and he's not even dead yet.
He's not dead.
He's not even dead yet.
Although, I will say...
He looks it.
Wait, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, that was not... for the very first time. That was not the Guardian of Chaos that said that. That was the Kid. And
listen to me. Everybody gets old. You know what I mean? Everybody gets old.
Well, between me, you, and Perez, we're like 150.
Yeah, it's true. 160.
Well, 160. Mancini, let me just say this tonight. You look tremendous.
I don't feel tremendous, Big Daddy.
Why? Why is that, Mancini? Tell me.
I feel a little off.
Now, when you say you feel a little off, what would that tell me?
I was
why?
tossing and turning until about 3 o'clock.
Isn't that a song? Go ahead, Kid.
Well, don't ask us to turn you on.
Oh, the Kid gets it.
He's starting to get the hang of the wrestling stuff now. Here,
listen, but you said it. By the time this kid is 21, he's going to be way ahead of the curve, man.
He might quit everything and just go into porn.
Oh, let's not go down. Listen, his mother's listening. His mother's listening right now.
That's a fluffer.
A fluffer. That was my job. His mother's listening right now. Listen, nothing against Mom. I love Mom, but she might be home watching a little tape right now herself. You never know. Mom, if you're listening, get your groove. Hey, how Stella got her groove back. Doesn't make her a bad girl. Before we get on to news of Ring of Honor and Paradise Alley, because fans, we have a lot of breaking news tonight. There's a lot of things going on in Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling. The Kid was at the Hammerstein Ballroom for Ring of Honor. We had TLC, which we don't give a fuck about. But I want to talk briefly, just for 30 seconds, about Dominic, Antonio, Chippy, and Angelo.
Danucci.
Mancini, have you seen the cast of characters on the Open Table Sports
I
podcast?
have not.
Talking about scaring the rats off cheesecake, making onions cry. I mean, they're a bunch of nice guys. I get it. I love UB. But I got to say, man, talk about your first-rate jabronis. Now, what did you call them last week, Mancini? The cream team? Is that what you call the Open Table Sports podcast guys?
Well, I referred to the cream team.
I think you called Dominic, Antonio, and Angelo. Angelo, is he wearing a fucking hairpiece?
I'm just going to call him.
What is that?
I'm just going to call him Angelo.
Who is called Angelo when his name is Angelo? What kind of kid?
Well, it's kind of like this. Anjanets or Anjanets?
I'm going to go with Anjanets.
I'm going to go with Anjanets.
All right, well, tomato or tomato?
Right.
Pissed
Angelo
off
or
pissed on?
Angelo?
Go ahead. What was the Kid?
Pissed off or pissed
The
on?
Kid gets it, Mancini. What, pissed off or pissed on, Mancini?
I told you that, you know.
Why are we back on this subject?
I don't
The
know.
third week in a row.
You know what, Kid? You're incorrigible. That's what it is. It's you. Now, before we're going to get on, fans, listen, I got so much stuff here. I don't know what the hell we're doing. I want to say Merry Christmas to everybody at Paradise Alley. Merry Christmas to my family and friends and everyone else that is out there listening to the podcast. We are in the Christmas spirit, and let's keep the Christ in Christmas. And boy, you never know what's going to happen down here at the Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling Training Facility at the Diadamo and Tracy Bail Bond Studio. We had a guest that just walked in, and there's no fucking way he's getting on the air. We're not letting him on the air. But here he is, the flamboyant one, as I call him, the chocolate Dusty Rhodes, Kenny Roberts, not to be confused with what Big Steve Tracy says, Kenny Rogers. Turn it up, Mancini! Let's get jiggy with it! I'm Rick James, bitch! Hey, wait, look at Roberts. Like, he's dancing in the goddamn ring! Get it, Kenny!
Well, listen, it's his ring music.
Who knew that Kenny Roberts, the flamboyant one, would show up down here at the Diadamo and Tracy Bail Bond Studio? But anyway, with fans, there's always something going on. Roberts has 2 hoes with him. Can I say hoes?
No, search for hoses. Well, listen, Mr. Roberts just got married here, you know.
Who just got married?
If he's going to be on the air.
He's not going to be on the air.
He's going to go, hey, baby, you got to listen to this. You know what I mean?
Oh, he sounds like Barry White. Is that what you're saying?
A little bit.
You know what? He would have, if he was here for the opening, he would have appreciated the Sugar Hill Gang rendition that I opened up with.
What's that mean, Big Daddy? I mean, I think
what does that
everybody enjoys the Sugar Hill Gang.
The Sugar Hill Gang was the originals long before this shit that's out there now. Who's that guy? Long Chain, Silver Chain, Gang Chain. What was his name? 2 Chain? What I don't even know.
2 Chains.
Oh, who are these people? Young Wheezy, Little Jeezy. What are these names?
What
kind of music is this?
The only Wheezy I only ever knew was on the Jeffersons.
Moving on up
to the east side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. We're moving on up.
Just looking out of the window, watching the asphalt grow. Ain't we lucky we got 'em? Good times. Yeah, and fans, listen, before you guys get crazy out there in this podcast land, we're not saying that because Kenny Roberts is a black man. Okay, I don't want you guys to think, wait, hold on, let me get politically correct here. Because he's African-American. Meanwhile, the motherfucker grew up in Simsbury. There ain't nothing African about Kenny Roberts. Okay? There ain't nothing African about Kenny Roberts. I love him like a brother from another mother who's a different color. But goddamn it, there ain't nothing African about Kenny Roberts. I love him, man. So anyway, you know, wait, hey. Is it possible that Kenny Roberts is going to come over here and slap the shit out of me right now, Mancini?
I need to put his ring music back on.
Well, listen, we're off the rails once again. Perez is waving me down. He's throwing up the flag. He's probably going to kick my ass, too. How many minutes are we in, Perez? That's a fucking beautiful thing. I'm swearing way too much tonight, Mancini.
Well, because you never have to worry about the FCC again, Big Daddy.
Well, I'm not doing that, Mancini.
I know that. There's no reason
Did
to.
you get something on your cell phone today in regards to the FCC?
I thoroughly enjoyed every one of the videos.
How many videos you think
there must have been like 18 of them.
I think there was more, like 40.
Yeah, there was crazy.
I'm sorry to take up all your gigabytes.
Oh, no, it was worth it. I loved watching all of them.
One of these days, we'll have to post it somewhere.
Listen, I'm deciding which ones to put on Facebook. You know why I have to be...
Yes, I'm well aware. The man with the brain of a dehydrated baby. I get it, Mancini. So, kid, we're going to turn the podcast briefly, and I'm going to follow your lead. Mancini's going to crush up an Ambien and sniff it right now. So he'll be out for the next 15 or 20 minutes. Let's talk about the event that, before we get on to Paradise Alley, because we got a lot of breaking news for Paradise Alley, and that's why we're here, is Paradise Alley. But make no mistake about it, the kid was at the Hammerstein Ballroom, Mancini. Is he snoring? What are you doing? Mancini, you sound like Mike Francesa. This isn't WFAN.
I'm sorry. Where'd he go?
He went to WFAN.
Oh, no. What show did you go to?
He went to, go ahead.
Final Battle.
Who's
kid?
that?
It's ROH, Ring of Honor Wrestling.
Ring of Honor?
In New York City.
Ring of Honor is a very excellent group, Mancini. I could have put them akin to, back in the day, to the NWA when it was just the WWF and the NWA. Ring of Honor's got a great product. So, kid, as Mancini strokes the short hairs, we are going to talk about Ring of Honor Final Battle because you were in attendance. So what do you want to open up with? Mancini, whenever you feel the need to interject something, and I don't mean the Longini either, my short peckered friend. Can I say that on the air?
You can.
Thank you. Thank you, my friends. Anyway, let's get on to Ring of Honor Final Battle. We have results. Look, see, the kid, he was there live in attendance. He has to go to his cell phone. You should have the results. Kid, tell me what you got.
On my phone here. The first match was Kenny King. He beat Eli Osum. Nothing really spectacular about that one.
Kenny King's a talented veteran, bro.
I know someone you're high on, though. Yep. Even though you're high on other stuff,
I don't
too.
get high. I don't get high, kid.
Jeff Cobb beating Adam Page.
Listen, I did happen to see Final Battle because I'm a big fan of Ring of Honor. Mm-hmm. Jeff Cobb retains the TV title against Hangman Page.
Former Olympic lifter. Cobb
is amazing. His suplexes are unbelievable. He's an absolute beast. He went over. He retained the title. I believe Hangman Page's contract is up, and he's out of Ring of Honor.
He is.
So, yeah, Cobb. If you haven't seen Jeff Cobb in Ring of Honor, you're missing a true man beast. What do you got next, kid?
Kelly Klein winning the Fatal 4-Way for the Women's Championship. I was actually getting a beverage at that.
Now, what kind of beverage? Let's hope it's nothing illegal because we are on a podcast and people do listen to this show.
At 18, it was only a Sprite.
You're 19! Why do you keep saying 18? Stop making these kids think that Mancini's here robbing the cradle. Hey, Kelly Klein is the new champ for Women of Honor. Let me tell you something. She's a large woman, Perez. Would you say she's a large woman? With a woman like that, you got to bend it over, spread and tilt, Mancini. Are you familiar with the spread and tilt? That's the only way you're going to get up in there to move some guts, if you know what I'm talking about. That's the only thing, But yeah, she's a big woman. It looks like a dinner roll from behind, I was told. But let's not get crazy.
Well, hey, Big Daddy, then if they get on top of you, then you have the old lift. You ever get the lift?
The pelvic thrust?
No, they get on top, but then if they're that big, then they got to lift everything up.
Mancini, do that again.
You got to lift.
Boy, folks, I wish you could see the visual on this one. So let's not get off the rails here. What do you got next, kid, for Ring of Honor Final Battle?
This is a top match for the night. Zack Sabre Jr. defeating Jonathan Gresham.
Kid, I'm going to say that to say this. The Octopus, Gresham, he's unbelievable athlete, but let me tell you something. Zack Sabre Jr. reminds me of an old school shoot wrestler. He's that good. I believe Zack Sabre was a part of, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Mancini, was he a part of the Evolve Paradise Super Show?
I believe he was, yeah.
Boy, let me tell you something on that Evolve Paradise Alley Super Show that you had last year. Not only Zack Sabre, Darby Allin, Keith Lee. I mean, did I say Keith Lee? Was that the right name? Am I saying it right? I thought that was the guitar player for the Rolling Stones. Am I right there, Mancini?
I'm not too familiar with only Mick Jagger. Really.
Mick Jagger. He's got a nice mouth. They'd like him in the prison. If you know what I mean.
He'd be a part of the cream team.
Well, that would be the Open Table Sports podcast. Anyway, Zack Sabre Jr. could be one of the best wrestlers in the world right now. What do you got next, kid?
Matt Taven beating Dalton Castle.
Dalton Castle was with the Boys, was he not?
The Boys, as always.
The Boy. Are you familiar with the Boys, Mancini?
I from the 80s. That's how they referred to the wrestlers, the Boys.
Well, coming from my background, when I say the Boys, that means they're usually nestled in like a nice little jock strap or something. Something similar to that.
Your own personal cream team.
Well, yeah, so to speak. Dalton Castle, listen, Taven went over. Taven from the Kingdom is unbelievable. I'm not quite sure what the build-up was to this match, the psychology behind it. I know Dalton Castle has a lot of injuries. That's probably why Taven went over, but Ring of Honor's giving Taven a big push.
Dalton Castle's on his way out, too.
Yes, Castle. There's a lot of guys leaving Ring of Honor.
And he turned down a WWE offer, as did the Young Bucks.
Well, I think he's got to heal up. I heard through a couple of different sites that I go to, whether it's JD from New York or whether it's Sean's views. Well, Sean sucks. Some of those other guys out there, listen, even Meltzer, he is the guru. There's a lot of guys leaving Ring of Honor due to injuries. What do you have up next?
Marty Scurll, another person leaving. Actually, no, wait. He's staying, but he's building a new, it's called the Villain Club. Mm-hmm.
Yes, Marty Scurll is for a guy who's a light heavyweight, is an unbelievable grappler. Christopher Daniels is a legend, an absolute legend. But another thing about the Fallen Angel, and I know you know this, kid, Fallen Angel's contract is also up.
So,
I mean, it's just another guy.
People. They're losing a lot of people.
Listen, it was a solid match, Scurll and Christopher Daniels. It doesn't get better.
They got 17 and a half minutes.
Yeah, no, that was a solid match. Next we had a crazy bout. What do we have up next here?
Flip Gordon beating Bully Ray, but those aren't the only two people in that match. Got Colt Cabana, Sandman, Flip Gordon's girlfriend.
Right, Silas Young, the last real man. Silas Young came down. Right, like you said, Sandman came out. Everybody was involved. And let me tell you, Flip caned the hell out of Bully. It was one hell of a match. Oh, wait, what's going on over there with Mancini? Oh, wait, there might be a fight scene in the ring. Kid, what do we have next? Listen, that Bully Ray Flip Gordon match was off the rails.
Jay Lethal beating Cody. But when Jay Lethal came out, that crowd was dead. He got no pop, no cheer, nothing.
Well, Jay Lethal's the defending Ring of Honor champion. And listen, he went up against the American Nightmare, a good friend and a legend of Mancini's from back in the day. God rest his soul, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. We have the Paradise Alley professional wrestling version right here in the studio, Kenny Roberts. It doesn't get any better than that. But Cody, the American Nightmare, lost. By submission. Cody tapped out Mancini. When would you ever see, I don't think Dusty Rhodes ever tapped out in his career. Maybe he did. I'm not sure.
From the buffet.
Mancini, see, this is why I like doing news from the big time, because you get in and out, kid.
How about this one?
What the hell was that?
I'm frustrated. It's like 1990, 91, right?
Well, I got a can of lubricant.
I'm in the Hartford Civic Center, right? So I'm really fed up. It's time to bitch at Strongbow again. You know, it's that time. So I want you to picture in your head, if you're standing in the back of a room looking forward about 20 yards, are the doors to the dressing room. And one's on the left and one's on the right. And it's a very short walk, maybe 6 steps to each dressing room. Beyond those 2 doors is the curtain to go out to the arena. So I'm all the way back, yelling at Strongbow. How come I'm not getting a push? I need a gimmick. Nobody's talking for me. I paid my dues. Out comes Terry the Warlord.
A beast.
The walk from one dressing room to the other, and he goes, you know what, Mancini, you know what your problem was? Unfortunately, you didn't look like that. Right behind him walks Dusty Rhodes. And I go, yeah, what's his excuse?
Well, Mancini, that's a valid point, but
my hair was grabbed by the back like he always did when he got pissed at me. So he grabbed me by the back of the hair, tilted me way back, was grinding his teeth and said, don't you ever disrespect Dusty Rhodes like that. And he made me apologize. He goes, say you're sorry right now. Strongbow said, apologize right now. I said, I'm sorry, Chief. I didn't mean to be disrespectful. And he goes, you're lucky I don't go and tell Dusty what you said right now and have you apologize to his face. Don't you ever be disrespectful like that again.
Well, it's a valid point, Mancini. You were a young grappler at that age. But let me tell you something. Dusty Rhodes is the kind of guy you could have a case of beer with in the parking lot and then go out and play softball. He was the true people's champion. He identified with all races, cultures, and creeds. Dusty Rhodes could have been one of the best wrestlers in the history of professional wrestling. His physical attributes, you looked at him, okay, maybe he looked like he was a barroom brawler, but nobody could bring it like Dusty Rhodes. But let's get back to finishing up here, Ring of Honor for Final Battle. Jay Lethal and Cody was unbelievable, and it was a figure 4 leg lock that he tapped out on. Am I correct?
It was, yes.
Amazing.
24-minute match.
24 minutes. And now, there was somebody that showed up, and I didn't see this coming. The NWA World Champion, Nick Aldis, comes out. as does Skrull. Break that down, kid, because I didn't know what that was about.
Skrull came out because when he beat Christopher Daniels, he earned back his right to face the champion, whoever won that match later in the night. So Skrull came out and he went face-to-face with Jay Lethal. They were facing off, and then Aldis came out and he gave him a round of applause, which was kind of peculiar because he doesn't really have any play in any of this. He only has a feud with Cody.
No, but he does have, right, he has the connection with the Ring of Honor guys back
Cody.
to All In.
Mm-hmm, back to All In with Cody. But with Skrull and Lethal, he doesn't really have too much beef with them, you could say. But he came out, gave him a round of applause, and then he walked to the back.
Well, this could be setting something up for the big Madison Square Garden show that they have coming up, Ring of Honor. Maybe they'll bring Aldis in. But that was very interesting on what's going to happen. And Jay Lethal, a tremendous guy. I've had a chance to be in the same locker room with Jay Lethal. What an unbelievable veteran and, to me, a guy who's headed for the Hall of Fame. The main event, and we'll wrap this up before we get to Paradise Alley because I see Mancini's playing pocket pool right now. I'm not quite sure. Mancini, are those your... What the hell is that right there, Mancini?
Big Daddy, can you follow me by me saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, Schlemiel,
Schlemazel, House of Fedra Incorporated, we're gonna do it! Yeah,
ladies
Laverne
and
Shirley,
gentlemen,
that's right.
the Penny Marshall passed away today at 75 years old.
That's right, the legendary Penny Marshall, whose father, Gary Marshall, was one of the most famous people in Hollywood.
And you know, I read an article today that
Laverne and Shirley.
She used to go around and tell people, you know, I have work because my brother's nice to me. And her brother finally looked at her and said, listen, I'm not giving you work because I'm nice. I'm not that nice. So that was kind of a compliment to her, which was nice. But
go ahead, finish your story.
I always enjoyed her work, and you know, I thought she was a funny lady. You
know who was complaining about the podcast because of what I just did? You know who complained about the podcast?
Who?
And she was listening to it, and it was listening to a great story being told by you.
Who?
But then she told me that I interrupted it, and I said, well, that's what I do. We all tie it up into a little bow. That's what happens. We always come back to the story. Pep. Pep.
Peppa.
I have heat with Pep.
Because I was telling the story.
Because you were telling a story, and I interrupted. She didn't like that. She said, why do you always interrupt Mario? I said, I don't mean to do it on purpose. It's just me. It's chaos. What do you want me to tell you?
I don't even notice it.
That's right. And let me ask you this question, since we were talking about the unfortunate passing. And I want Perez's. Do you think Perez can hear me behind the glass?
He could hear you. Yeah.
I want to ask you guys this question. Kid, you're out of this one. Kenny Roberts may be able to answer. He's laying in the ring right now. It looks like he has a Woody. I'm not sure.
Go ahead.
Why do I always talk about this? You think it's the 25 years in prison?
I don't. It might have been. What's the question? Is it about Penny Marshall?
Yeah, it's about fucking
Penny
Penny Marshall.
Go ahead.
Here's the question.
Yeah.
Shirley. Wait. Is it Shirley? It
is Shirley.
Shirley. Oh. Shirley, or was it Penny? What was it? Laverne. Laverne and Shirley.
Laverne and Shirley.
Penny was
Cindy Williams was
and Penny Marshall.
And Penny Marshall.
Who would you bang first?
For me, it would have definitely been Laverne.
Perez came out fast with his answer.
No, it would have been Laverne.
He said Laverne, and you're saying Laverne?
No, he said Shirley.
Who did you say, Perez?
He said Shirley. He said Shirley. Laverne.
What are you trying to mix me up
Laverne.
Here for
Definitely
Mancini?
Laverne. Definitely.
All right.
Definitely
so
Laverne.
Perez would bang Laverne. Mancini, you would bang Laverne.
Laverne, yeah.
I'm going to yell off into the distance if he can hear me. Kenny Roberts. Who would Kenny Roberts bang? Laverne or Shirley?
Oh my God! Okay.
Fans, you couldn't hear
All right,
that.
so
but
not
the
only
flamboyant one does not know who they are.
So he doesn't know what they look like.
The kid's definitely out.
Yeah, I sure as hell don't.
So how come nobody has asked me?
Big Daddy, Laverne or Shirley?
Squigmont.
You would have did the Squiggy.
Lenny and Squiggy. You could be Lenny, and I could be Squigmont. And Perez could be...
What about the big ragu? You know I go from rags to riches.
Perez could be the big ragu.
Prince could be the big red dude.
All right, listen now. Now that we got, so there's 2 votes for Laverne and 1 for Squigmond. So that now that we're off, God rest her soul. Penny Marshall was a tremendous lady. She really was. In all seriousness, folks. And now we're going to get on to the final main event here because we're still struggling to get through Ring of Honor. It was the ladder war with the main event, Kid, which I thought was unbelievable. SoCal Uncensored, which is Scorpio Sky and Kaz. The Briscoes, who are probably the best tag team in professional wrestling right now, in my opinion. And the Young Bucks. Unbelievable, insane, bloody, brutal match. Break it down.
Well, before the match, we got TLC a little bit earlier because we got some tables set around the ring and some chairs, in which everyone was confused because it was a ladder war.
Did you say confused?
Confused.
I'm as confused
Befuddled.
as a baby at Hooters. If you know what I'm talking about, Kid.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, listen, let me break this down before you
I know what they wear. I've been to Hooters once.
What do women in Hooters have?
Big boobs, yeah.
Large breastises. And what do little babies do with their mothers when they're first born because it's natural and it's healthy?
Feed from them.
Breastfeed. So I have a grandchild. If I was to go to Hooters, that's where the saying comes from. I'm as confused as a baby at Hooters. The grandchild would see all those breastises and all that milk and would be confused about lunch or dinner or something like that. So that's where they're confused as baby at Hooters. So now I understand where you're coming from. Break it down.
So we got TLC a little bit early. They used a lot of tables in this match, and they actually reused a table that they put fire on in the Bully Ray and Flip Gordon match. They just stuffed it back under the ring. They put the lighter fluid on it, but they just stuffed it back under the ring. And the first table they took out for that match was the one with lighter fluid on it. So they had to conserve their sources. But it was a really good match overall, a lot of action. I'm surprised someone didn't get injured.
Yeah, it was insane. One of the best matches that I've seen. And if I'm not mistaken, because I didn't fall asleep, although I'm over the age of 30, that's a lie. 10-time tag team champions, the Briscoes won ladder war. I love them boys. You gotta love the Briscoes. And confirm this if I'm mistaken here, Kid, because you are the source. Are the Young Bucks leaving Ring of Honor?
They left Ring of Honor, and they also got an offer from WWE, which they declined, and the speculation is running vapid that they're going to make a promotion called All Elite Wrestling.
I have heard of AEW, which is going to be All Elite. I know a lot of the fans out there are probably dying for this, but AEW, well, let's see what happens. Let's see if they get it off the ground. Listen, with all the organizations out there, New Japan, Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground, Impact, we talk about it every week. There's a lot of NWA. There's a lot of good, viable competition. MLW, Evolve, Paradise Alley. I mean, there's a lot of competition out there. XWA, I can go on and on. Mm-hmm. But yeah, unbelievable. Briscoes, 10-time tag team champions. So that puts a wrap up. Give me a synopsis, Kid, of your 30-second, 1-minute synopsis of Ring of Honor, being there live, and just the overall feeling and atmosphere that you can relay to the fans.
Being there live, it's so much different from a WWE event because WWE is geared towards like the younger kids, but this is just like a bunch of more like grown-ups there for just kick-ass pro wrestling, and it's not the soap opera stuff you get in WWE with all the backstage talking and the in-ring talking. It's just straight wrestling and action they went overtime, actually, for like 4 hours, and it's just constant action.
Kind of like what you're doing right now, going overtime. Because you see Mancini sound asleep.
You said 30 seconds.
That was more than 30 seconds.
He's been asleep for 20 minutes. So
look at the size of the proboscis on Mancini. Now, listen, I will say that I have a 2-car garage myself. You could lift me up by my ankles and have me inhale, and I'd be like a vacuum cleaner. But anyway... So it was an unbelievable experience, huh, Kid?
The fans were hot.
Nice. Yes, I noticed that on the live screen pay-per-view, which I did not pay for. But anyway, we're going to bring Mancini back here into the program because more importantly, what we have coming up now is Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling Friday Night Alley Fights. We have a lot of news. We have a pending show coming up. We have a couple of alley fights coming up. And we even have coming up, which I want to get into, the 1-year anniversary of Friday Night Alley Fights for Paradise Alley coming up within the next month. But anyway, Mancini, I have a question for you, Mancini.
Yes, Big Daddy.
And Kenny Roberts and Paul Perez and the kid could listen to this too because it's a very poignant question. Do you know the difference between Bill Cosby and a rap artist? Think about it. The art. Get it? Think about it for those of you that don't get it. Because I'm going to say that to save this. I've discovered that I have a logic fetish, Mancini.
What is that, Big Daddy?
I can't stop coming to conclusions.
Oh.
I'm having amnesia and deja vu at the same time. I think I've forgotten this before. But anyway, let's get on to Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling. Now, Mancini, you were in attendance. You may have been in oblivion. I get it. But you were in attendance, my short-peckered friend. Let's talk. I think I said that twice. I was with...
well, if you say it 3 times, maybe we'll get longer. Go ahead.
It's funny you should say 3 times. Well, let me not get into that Howard Stern joke, because then I'll be accused of plagiarizing a Howard Stern. We've been compared to that, Mancini.
Well,
how fucking crazy is that?
Come on.
No, not in his wealth or success or the king of
God
media.
himself.
Right, that's what I'm talking. I'm not talking about that. Fans, don't get crazy. Friday Night Alley Fights. Now, Mancini, since the kid was not here, I am going to have to depend on you. The first match, here's the results from this past weekend for Friday Night Alley Fights. The debut for Elijah 6. He went over from the Filthy Family, Big Cal Stevens. Give me your impressions of Elijah 6, Mancini. All right, anyway, on to the next match.
Well, he kind of pulled his tights, you know what I mean? So he kind of cheated there, Big Daddy.
Well, you know what Richard Holiday says.
All's fair in love and war.
Wrong.
What?
Win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat.
Yeah.
That's how I live my life. Anyway, Elijah 6 over Big Cal Stevens. A very impressive debut for Elijah 6. The next matchup for Friday Night Alley Fights was All Hail the King, Nutrius X against Mancini's bitter arch rival, Zachariah Gibbs.
And he beat him. He beat Gibbs.
You know who didn't beat Gibbs?
I know, Big. He got lucky!
He still pins you at the Mohegan Sun Casino and perhaps the biggest show of Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling, the Snot-Nosed Kid.
Ah!
That's all you have to say, huh? Well, Nutrius X did pin Zachariah Gibbs and is moving on to the second round of the semifinals because this was for the United States Heavyweight Championship tournament to face Sergeant Murray. You're well aware of that.
I am well aware of that.
You are the front office. You are the CEO.
I'm well aware of that.
And now that the man's here, let's talk about him because he's on quite the winning streak.
Well, I tell you what.
Quite the winning streak.
Kenny Roberts.
Well,
why don't we let him talk about his own match?
Listen, have you seen Kenny Roberts' promos? Have you seen his in-ring promos?
No.
He can't fucking talk.
Oh.
Kenny, listen, now Kenny's saying that hurts him. Get out of the chair, man.
Well,
come on, Roberts.
Let him
come on, Kenny. Now you're on the spot, Kenny.
Let him describe his match.
I just want to ask you this. If money doesn't grow on trees, then why do banks have branches? Welcome to the Mario Chaos and the Kid podcast. The flamboyant one. I'm Rick James, bitch. Here he is.
Oh, yeah.
Kenny Roberts. Kenny, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Kenny, I want to let you know, brother, that you are an elite company right now.
Am I?
And do you know why?
Why is that?
Because you are the first guest.
That's right.
On the Mario Chaos and the Kid podcast.
Say that one more time.
Kenny Roberts is the first guest.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Kenny, I want you personally, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you showed up. You had, on Friday Night Alley Fights, a pretty tough matchup with Aaron Bradley. If you can briefly, because if we keep you on here too long, Mancini will leave and we'll never see him again. Break down. Yeah, you hear Mancini in the background, right? He said, we're right. I want you to break down your opponent, Aaron Bradley. I would like you to break down briefly the match before that against Dillinger. Okay? And now your next opponent coming up, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be the King of Paradise, Nutrius X.
Right.
Break it down, Kenny Roberts.
So let's start off with Aaron Bradley. Aaron Bradley, he was a good competitor. He was tough, but you know what? All it takes is one elbow drop. One big elbow drop. Ain't that right?
He's talking to you, kid. Don't be
100%
scared.
Right.
Wake
I'm
up. You
not
gotta wake
scared.
up,
I'm
man.
listening. I'm letting him talk. He's breaking down his matches. I'm listening to him.
Kid, listen, I realize that Kenny Roberts is nobody to be trifled with, but don't be scared. Kenny is on our side, kid.
He's breaking down his matches. I'm letting him talk about his matches, so he's going to do it. I'm listening. I'm taking it all in.
Well, indecision may or may not be the problem, but go ahead, Kenny Roberts.
Moving right along. You said Corey Dillinger. You want me to talk about Corey Dillinger?
Well, listen, I thought
big
that
tough man.
he's a
What
big
is he,
tough
like,
guy.
What,
Listen,
6'4", 6'5", almost
damn near 300 pounds,
right? Yeah, just like me. But
Very
you know what? He
impressive,
could not
Kenny
stop me,
Roberts.
just like Aaron Bradley could not stop me. Once I hit these elbows, hit that big elbow drop, is nothing but the 1, the 2, and the 3.
well, Kenny, I will say your elbows, that's why I always say Dusty Rhodes. You know, I say it in jest. It's a compliment when I say chocolate Dusty Rhodes. I don't really give a fuck if anyone thinks I'm saying anything else. I got to be honest with you. I really don't. I don't care. But your elbows are nothing to be messed with. They're sharp. They hurt. And I've
they're
seen them take out
electrifying.
many people, Kenny Roberts.
Many, including Mario's favorite, Richard Holiday.
Ooh, Kenny, I was at that
No
match. I had the
disrespect,
privilege
kid.
to call that match, Kenny Roberts.
Oh, you've caught a couple of my matches.
Yes, well,
Caught a
Roberts, you
couple of-
are one of the top contenders right now. I've been pushing for you to get a title shot, Roberts. You know that, right?
I know you have. What's going on with that? What's going on, Mario? You the one in charge, right?
Well,
No?
let's not.
Yeah?
Listen. Mancini
he's
may be
quiet
the best
now.
looking one of the bunch, but let's make no mistake about it. Paul Roma's in charge.
Oh, Roma.
Read the Roma-isms, Mancini. Let's get on to the next big thing for the flamboyant one. Wait, hold on, Mancini.
Oh, Roma rules.
Here we go, fans. The same rules from last week. One trainer, Roma.
Number 2, when Roma's talking, keep your fucking mouth shut.
When Roma's talking, keep your fucking mouth shut.
Rule number 3, see rule 1 and 2.
Rule number 3, see rule 1 and 2. That's what we talk about when we say Roma-isms. But back to the flamboyant one, because we don't get a chance to get all the grapplers and stars down here to Mario Chaos and the Kid. Now, Kenny, coming up on January 11th, we're about 2 weeks out
2 weeks.
here on the Merry Christmas edition of Mario Chaos and the Kid. You are facing a gentleman who's got a bad, nasty attitude, and that's the King of Paradise, Nutrius X, in the semifinals for the United States title tournament shot against Sergeant Murray. Break it down, Roberts.
Break it down. I already know going in, he's smaller, he's shorter, he's quicker.
He's got a bad
He's going to be
temper.
moving around. He's going to make me want to chase him. I already know that.
Well, Kenny, I got to agree. He's going to test your cardio.
Oh,
the
yeah.
strength, obviously, and size goes to Kenny Roberts. But Nutrius X is a veteran. He's got a nasty temperament. And I would say this if he was here, because I've been following X's career, too. And he's been distracted by his feud, Kenny, with Gino, the God. And I think that may work in your favor, Kenny, because he's in a bitter feud with Gino, his former partner.
And if you don't put 100% attention on me, I'm going to come back and get you.
Kid, give me your prediction for that match coming up on January 11th. Friday Night Alley Fights.
Prediction, it's going to be a test both ways. You're going to test his strength. He's going to test your cardio. I think I'll take strength over speed any day of the week.
Okay.
Nice.
Because once you get a hold of even though you're not like everywhere, it's the ring. It's not like he can run away from you because then he'll just get counted out. So strength over speed any day. I'll take that.
Okay.
Well, kid, that's an interesting insight
Smart
you
choice.
have there.
Smart
It is.
choice.
The size is going to overcome its smallness. and
Well,
stuff.
Kenny, sit in for a minute.
I'm not a big fan of Nutrius X, so
What do you mean? Listen, don't let Nutrius X hear you say that. He'll kick the shit out of you.
I got someone that'll kick the shit out of him.
Well, you may be right on that because Kenny Roberts is mobile, agile, hostile, and nimble.
Woo! That's right.
That's right, Kenny. But anyway, Kenny, we're going to keep you here to break down the rest of Alley Fights before we drag Mancini back into the conversation. Ty Shine had a strong return at Alley Fights, and he defeated Ronnie Ribbs Ty Shine looks good. He's back in the fold here at Paradise Alley. That was a big win. And now Ty, in the second or the semis on the 11th at Friday Night Alley Fights, is matching up against the newcomer, Elijah Six. Listen, Ty Shine's got the best brows in the business. I don't know a lot about Six. I'm going to have to give the edge to Ty Shine coming up on January 11th.
Another thing you can't doubt is experience. That's something that doesn't go away.
Kid, that's a point well taken. What do you think there, Roberts? Because this may be a future opponent of yours in this tournament. That's the best brows in the business, or the newcomer, Elijah Six.
Doesn't matter to me, because you know what's going to happen. Tell him, Big Daddy.
Well, Kenny Roberts is on a roll. I can't say that, Kenny. Listen, you got to be at least on a 4 or 5, maybe a half dozen game match winning streak, my friend. So I've been noticing, Kid, you're on the rise here in Paradise Alley, my friend. And now here was the main event for Alley Fights. And now, Kenny, I know you were in the locker room, but this was a slobber knocker, to quote JR. Sergeant Murray, the United States champion, and the former Paradise Alley heavyweight champion, making his return. Showtime, Marcel Williams, for all you chump suckers. They went over on Maxim Morozov, one half of Collusion, and Ryan Frost, whoever the fuck that is. But anyway, Showtime turns on the Sarge at the end. I do know that. So, Roberts, you were in the locker room. I want to know the heat between Sarge and Showtime and what the hell happened there in that main event against Frost and Morozov.
I don't know what happened during that fight and after, but when Sarge hit that curtain to go backstage, he was on a rampage looking for Marcel. Marcel, he fleeted. Gone. He was gone.
Well, fans, see, Kenny, you were there. You were in the locker room.
He's throwing chairs, tables, water bottles. Like, what's going on, Sarge?
Well, I see nothing but a bitter feud set up. Now, that was the results, fans, from last weekend for Friday Night Alley Fights for the first round of the United States Championship. Also, coming up, and we're talking about it, January 11th. I'm going to run it down, and we're going to talk about it. Elijah Six, Ty Shine, Nutrius X, and our man Kenny Roberts. Here's the big one for United States title. Sergeant Murray against Showtime Marcel Williams. Chump suckers beware, because this is what came out of last Friday Night Alley Fights. Showtime and Sarge. Now they were partners, now enemies. Break it down, Kid. Kenny?
I think Marcel's going to take that one home. He's determined. He's back. He's got his eyes on the title. I think he's had his eyes on that title for a while. Since he left, I think he wants it.
I know Showtime feels like he was screwed out of the title. I don't see it that way. The PAPW brass didn't see it that way, but I know Showtime sees it that way. And he's on a mission, but Sarge is the champ. Kenny?
You cannot underestimate the champion. He's a champion until somebody makes him submit or pins him. Ain't that right?
He's talking to you, Kid.
All day.
I am. Sarge is too big. Sarge is too strong.
Well, Sarge is a large man. He's a large
big
individual.
Big man.
And listen, and you know he does work behind the walls, so he's nobody to be trifled with.
Large and in charge.
Large and in charge. Also, coming up on January 11th, fans, it's only $5. It's at 8 p.m. bell time. Come down here to the Diadamo and Tracy Studios, Bail Bond Studios at Paradise Alley Training Facility. You can't miss Alley Fights. It brings back the old days. It's a family atmosphere, unlike this podcast. Also on the 11th, HOP, the House of Pain, defends the tag team titles. Nick Payne and the man with the largest arms in Paradise Alley, perhaps professional wrestling, Hakeem Ali. They take on Big Cal Stevens and Dirtbag Dan, the filthy family. And you know what I say? Dirtbag Dan. What do I say, Kid?
He's a dirtologist.
No, he's a dirtbag. And let me tell you something. I have seen training videos recently of Hakeem Ali. And let me tell you something. That man is hitting the gym, doing his cardio. He's dropped almost 50 pounds. He looks unbelievable. I only see the House of Pain, who's held the tag team titles for over a year, becoming that much tougher to deal with for any tag team that's on the horizon. And that includes Collusion, Zafir Al-Rahihi, Maxim Morozov, and the team that's supposed to be making a big impact, and we're going to talk about that. That's Big Jim Anderson and the Meadowlands Monster. So fans, that's what's coming up. Breakdown. I want to hear from Kenny Roberts, because I know you're down with the House of Pain.
I am.
Break down what's coming up January 11th, HOP and Filthy Family.
Just because of the experience and their year-plus long title reign, I got to go with my boys HOP. They're going to dominate them. I feel they already have the strength against them. And with Nick, he has the quiet speed, the quiet quickness that you would not expect from
Nick Payne is very
his size.
surprising athlete, Kenny. I got to echo your sentiments there. Nick Payne moves around like a light heavyweight. I got to tell you. So, Kid, we're going to wrap up Friday Night Alley Fights, the results, and what's coming up January 11th. Fans, don't miss it here at the facilities. HOP, Filthy Family, Kid.
I'm going to say the same thing as Kenny. The experience is going to take over the Filthy Family. I don't care what anyone says. Things that don't go away is experience and strength. Strength, those two you can always keep up. Speed goes away. Dirtbag Dan has the speed, but Big Cal, he brings the strength. So they do have a good mix. But the thing is, both members of HOP bring both of those, strength and speed, also experience. You just can't deny all of that.
That's a solid breakdown. And I got to say, I'm looking forward to Friday Night Alley Fights. I want to thank the flamboyant one, Kenny Roberts, for sitting in on the podcast while Mancini takes a little cat nap over there at the facility. But we're going to bring Mancini back in. Kenny, brother, thanks for showing up. Good luck on the 11th at Friday Night Alley Fights. Keep listening, Kenny Roberts, and we appreciate you being here on Mario Chaos Podcast. And let me get it right, featuring the Kid.
The pleasure's all mine. Thanks for having me.
All right, fans, there he was, Kenny Roberts, coming back into the booth. Perez, how long in are we? 52 minutes. Oh, not bad, not bad. Mancini, I have a quick question.
Go ahead, Big Daddy.
Tell me about Manciniville.
Wow. That was created by Howard Finkel. Howard Finkel, God bless him, not in the best health these days. When I was inducted into the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2014, the same Hall of Fame that you'll be inducted in 2019.
I'm humbled.
The way it went was one person would induct the independent wrestlers, and Howard Finkel would be there to induct the WWF/WWE guys. So Finkel really pondered my induction. So he came up with, if you were a rising star and they were going to make a storyline for you and you were going to go someplace, the way you knew you were on your way to the top was one stop. And if you made that one stop after you were done going there, you knew you were going for good things. And that stop was in Manciniville. So
that's a very interesting story, Mancini, for the fans to hear, because I know that a lot of famous people went to Manciniville.
Well, a few.
I would say there's more than a few. Don't be humble now, Mancini. I have another question for you, Mancini, seeing that it was brought to my attention that the Kid was viewing WrestleMania 1
Yes.
within the last 24 hours.
Yes.
And it was brought to my attention because you know I'm always doing my homework, Mancini. I may have to jerk off the dog to feed the cat, but I'm always doing my homework. Tell me the story, and the fans the story, about what happened with Mancini and the attempt at a Mario Mancini doll with possibly a stretcher attached to it, and then the 3 matches leading into WrestleManias 1, 2, and 3. Mancini, I don't fuck around, kid. You know I do my research.
For one, you know, me, Roma, and Gino Carabello got a call that we were to wrestle in the Waldorf Astoria. I think it was the Waldorf. Could have been another hotel in New York City in a ballroom. And we basically looked at each other and said, the fuck? There were no chairs. It was standing only. And they were all businessmen. And what it was a wrestling show to promote the coming out, if you will, of the wrestling dolls. Okay? The introduction of them. The premiere
of the dolls
of
back
the
in the
wrestling
day.
dolls.
Unbelievable.
So, I've seen these guys, when you go to TV, they scream out their names for the residual checks. And I was getting a little antsy, so I went up to Vince McMahon.
You went up to Vincent Kennedy McMahon himself?
And I said, "Hey, Vince, can I get a doll?" And he said, "You want a doll?" I go, "Yeah, it's a really good doll, though." And he goes, "Oh, what makes your doll so special, Mancini?" I said, "Mine comes with a stretcher."
Now, that was your idea,
That was my
Mancini?
idea. The stretcher, little ambulance, and 2 paramedics.
And what did Vince say?
He said, "Actually, that's a really great idea."
Okay, now let me ask the second
They
part.
never cast the mold.
Speaking of casting the mold, I was reading a Jimi Hendrix book, and there was a certain groupie who would go around to all the famous people she slept with, and she would get a cast molding of their penis. And she did one of Jimi Hendrix, and I heard it was longer than the guitar. He supposedly had the longest cast of his penis, Mancini. I just wanted to throw that in there since...
Big Daddy.
Anyway, on to the second...
You spent way too many
years in the prison system.
behind the walls.
Well, I am what they call, officially, a cockologist.
Oh, I understand.
When I went into the prison, I studied cockology 101. That's what I did for a living.
That's different than Dirtbag Dan's dirtologist.
Yes, but I was a cockologist. And do you know why I say that? Because that was my job as the convict came in from the street, the arrestee, the criminal. I had to strip search them. I used to make them, or they would follow direction to take off their clothes. They would have to squat and cough, lift up their cojones, and spread the cheeks.
You know, Big Daddy, I've been called a moofologist.
Really?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
You really want to know what that is?
I think the fans would love to know.
August, 96 degrees.
Wow.
Out in the heat. 6-7 hours.
Wow.
You're on your feet.
Wow.
You sit down.
Wow.
And suddenly you get a waft.
Wow. So is that like the scratch and sniff test?
And what I call that, when that happens to man or woman, I call it a moof.
Is that like a queef? Is that something like a queef? Kid, what are you laughing at? You don't even know what we're
when I'm
talking
watching
about.
the weather report during the summer and he goes, "It's a hot one. It's going to be 102 degrees." I go, "Well, this is a day. This is a moof day."
So are you saying that that's similar to something we used to say back in the day when the old lady would come home? And I'm not just speaking in general, not about anybody's old lady.
You're not talking about anybody's old lady.
I would never talk about, I'm talking about random independent people.
Nor Peppa. Go ahead.
Never. She would kick the shit out of me if
I
I
think
ever
she
talked
would.
about it. No, she would.
Oh,
Trust me when I tell you. I love her to death. You know that.
I know.
Peppa, this is not directed at you.
She's your life.
She's my life. But this is what they would call it back in the day. Kenny Roberts, are you listening? Instead of what you call it, Mancini, I call it all day pussy. That's what I call it. I'm just saying. Anyway, back on to this.
Not like being blunt there, Big Daddy, huh?
Well, this is the Mario Chaos featuring the Kid podcast.
So you want to know about WrestleMania 1?
No, man. So getting back to the doll and the stretcher.
Right.
There was a reason for that because I was informed that before WrestleManias 1 and 2, and it might be the third or fourth, I'm not sure, that the last TV tapings leading into WrestleMania, you were on every one of those TV tapings. Yeah. And what did those 3 TV tapings have in common, Mancini, with the doll idea?
A stretcher. Break
it down, as I always say, Mancini.
Well, this is what happened, Big Daddy. Well, you know.
Well, the Kid is here, too. Don't forget the Kid.
Again, this was new territory and a new venture. And this WrestleMania, the same man that coined the phrase Manciniville, came up with the idea of WrestleMania, which would be Howard Finkel.
A genius.
And they're still trying to figure this thing out. So they want it to go over really strong before it happens. So the main event is Hulk Hogan.
That's called psychology, Mancini, which they don't have in today's WWE.
So they have Hulk Hogan, Mr. T, right, and Jimmy Snuka against Cowboy Bob Orton, Roddy Piper, right, and Paul Orndorff. So, needless to say, they needed to go over strong. So they asked me, the TV before WrestleMania 1, if I would do a stretcher against Paul Orndorff.
That's history, kid. Are you listening, kid?
Taking a pile driver on the concrete floor.
That's right. Pile driver on the concrete floor.
It just so happens my mother and brother came to that show, and they were in the second row. I felt so bad for them. They thought I got killed.
So needless to say, Mancini, you were taken out on a stretcher.
I was.
Let's get on to, so that's, kid, listen up. The last TV taping before the original WrestleMania 1, Mancini on a stretcher. Let's go to WrestleMania 2, Mancini. What happened there?
WrestleMania 2 was, the main event was King Kong Bundy against Hogan in a steel cage.
Correct.
So they needed Bundy to go over strong last TV taping before WrestleMania. So I took 2 avalanches and 3 splashes.
Wrong answer. I'm going to tell you what you took, Mancini, because I know better. You took 3 avalanches and 2 splashes.
I had a reverse, Big Daddy.
Don't ever doubt me, Mancini. Go ahead. Finish the story.
Well, that was a stretcher.
Right. So the common theme here now, we're going to move on to, because I'm not sure if it was 3 or 4, but you also were unfortunate enough to be in the ring and do the same thing with the stretcher. Break it down, Mancini.
Read the TV before WrestleMania 4.
4. It was 4. Okay.
Which was Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan.
Macho Man.
So that one, I remember I was all over the arena. He threw me over the...
Literally from pillar to post.
Over the steel ring posts, outside the steel ring guards, through the aisles, around the corner, right back over the rails, back into the ring. I think I might have taken 3 elbows.
As a matter of fact, Mancini, you took 2.
Oh, I took 2 elbows.
You took 2 from the top rope.
All right.
He almost crushed your sternum. But there's the common denominator, Mancini.
All before WrestleManias.
Kid, are you listening to that?
Yeah, I'm listening.
All right, Mancini, you know, we're rolling here, okay?
Yeah,
I don't want to get too crazy here.
Yeah.
We're coming up to the end of the Christmas edition of Mario.
May your days be merry. Oh, go ahead.
Mancini, is that Michael Bolton?
It is.
Boy, I'll tell you, Mancini. Listen, that car karaoke thing is really going to take off. I realize it's been out for 6 months and you got 1 view, and that was me. But it's only a matter of time before a second person.
Did I hit 400 yet, kid, or no? Did I hit 400 yet?
What is Kenny Roberts doing over there?
He's watching
Mancini?
SmackDown over there.
All I saw was an ass in a thong bikini. Holy crap. Mancini, we're going to... Perez, you think... Perez, how long are we in, Perez? 105, we're ending it up with here. This is what we're ending up here on the Christmas show. And I want to appreciate everyone for listening. Mark Adam Haggerty and Stitcher and B-Player and Spreaker and Paul Perez for producing this show. Kenny Roberts for coming down. The Diadamo and Tracy Bailbond studio. Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling. The man who's always got his hands full when he goes to the bathroom, and that would be pretty Paul Roma. But man, there's a lot of people out there that I want to thank. Roma, I hope you're listening because you know we're staying PG just for you. This is my last question before we end up the Christmas edition.
Go ahead, Big Daddy. Go ahead.
Because he was your trainer.
Yeah.
And this was a rumor that I've been wanting to ask for probably 20 years, Mancini.
Go ahead.
Did you ever officially wrestle Tony Altamont?
Yes.
Break it down.
Okay. So we were at Foreign High School. It was either Foreign High School or Bunnell in Stratford. And it was right after my first match with Valentine. It was after I got my nose broken too. But it was the first time my entire family came, and he said, "You're going to work with me, You're going to hit me with that reverse flying body press off the second rope. The momentum's going to take me over you, and I'm going to go over on you. And I said, okay. I walked away, and I was a little dejected, but I didn't show him that.
Did he call you grasshopper?
No. But he was Tony Altamar. He was tag team champions at Lou Albano back
The Sicilians.
Right. So he was a veteran of 50, he's 50 years old. Who am I? So, I'm an 18-year-old kid. You're going to go over on me? You're going to go over on me. I don't care if my family's out there. You know what I mean? So we went out there and we worked the match. And I hit him with that reverse flying body press off the second rope. The momentum took him over me. And then he grabbed my trunks and pulled me over him and left me stunned in the middle of the ring like a mark.
Now, Mancini, would that be the only time that you officially was in the ring
Hence,
with Tony?
Zachariah Gibbs was paying it forward.
Wow. Mancini, you are a true carpenter of the business. All kidding aside, what you're doing here and what you, Paul Perez and Paul Roma and Big Steve are doing down here is second to none, my friend.
Will we try?
Well, you guys are doing a great thing. We didn't get on to the big announcement. There is a big announcement coming up for January. We don't have an official venue yet. We're working on it. Mancini's working on it. But It is Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling presents.
I should know by tomorrow, and I got tentatively, there's nothing going on that day. So tentatively, I will confirm by tomorrow, but tentatively, it is January 26th at Joseph A. Malillo Middle School.
All right, fans, tentatively, from the front offices of Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling, January 26th, 7 p.m. bell time, Joseph Malillo Middle School, East Haven, Connecticut, for Paradise Alley presents, doesn't prevent, I don't know what we're preventing, maybe this podcast, presents New Year's Retribution. Looking forward to that one, Mancini. Coming up before that, not only January 11th, coming up Friday Night Alley Fights, January 25th will be the 1-year anniversary of Friday Night Alley Fights. We'll be going over that soon, possibly next week during the Christmas break. We'll talk about that, and we'll maybe have more news for New Year's Retribution. Kid, on our way out, do you want to say anything to your family, Christmas wishes, your old lady, your girlfriend, the girl you're trying to bang over here at Rite Aid? Do you want to say anything?
All I got to say is Florida better watch out because the kid's coming.
Florida or bust for the kid. Mancini, what do you have to say?
Well, he's going to be shining like two shiny Christmas ornaments on the tree. 2 balls.
Two fuzzy balls. And I'm going to say this, and then we're going to let Mancini take it out because I have a message for that guy. To the man on crutches, dressed in camouflage, who stole my wallet, you can hide, but you can't run.
Ladies and gentlemen, Merry Christmas from the Mario Chaos and Kid Show. And we will be back here, believe it or not, because we are not going to take a break. We will be here next week for a New Year's edition of Mario Chaos and the Kid. Be safe, have some Christmas joy, celebrate, and love everybody to death.
And remember, keep the Christ in Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Take care.